Here now with more are the senators. They are behind the key report detailing Hunter's shady finances. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, along with Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. Gentlemen, great to see you both. I'll start with you, Senator Johnson. If you can explain, what we now know. Is there anything in my monologue that you heard that is not true? And what else are you learning as you dig deeper into your investigation?
No, Sean, you laid it all out. And, of course, we've known this. Those of us that had inquiring minds, we've known this for, close to 2 years now. It was obvious Hunter's laptop was authentic as soon as we started seeing the information from it. But the media has been complicit. Here's a few more details. Hunter Biden knew exactly who he was dealing with. He called Patrick Ho the spy chief of China. He knew that Devon Archer was involved in eventually we proved that he was involved in a fraud against Indian tribes. He was convicted of that. Devon Archer met with Joe Biden in the White House in April 2014, right around the exact same time, within a couple of days, when Devon Archer became a board member of Burisma. A few weeks later, Hunter Biden became a board member. So this is an enormous, tangled web of, a vast web of financial foreign entanglements. And we've known this all along. And as Tony Bobulinski said, Joe Biden is compromised. I think it's pretty obvious he has to be. Cancels Nord Stream 2 pipeline. He cancels the China Initiative, which is the DOJ investigations into universities of Chinese stealing our intellectual property. So no, this is incredibly dirty, but the mainstream media has been complicit. They've been covering it up. And what the Washington Post learned from its Nixon coverage is when you've been caught covering things up, you do a modified, limited hangout. That's exactly what the Washington Post did. They're not revealing all the information. This is minimal information for the American public. They're just covering their you-know-whats.
Senator Grassley, in your report in November of 2020, which we covered extensively, you pointed out over the course of your investigation into how Hunter Biden would use his father's position and name to enrich himself and his father, and the fact that in these emails from this laptop, we now can confirm that Joe Biden benefited financially from it. Also, Joe Biden lied to the American people when he said he never had discussions with Hunter about his foreign business dealings. You tell me, Senator, this is not our first rodeo on issues like this. That sounds like pay-to-play corruption to me.
Well, we have bank records that back up everything that is in the laptop, and they very clearly show that there was these bank records that tie Hunter Biden directly with people in China, business people in China that are directly connected with the Chinese Communist Party and the government, and to some extent, maybe the military and the intelligence service. So there's no doubt about it. But the really sad thing is the media should have been doing their job in August of 2019 when I started this investigation. And instead what they were doing was peddling the information that the Democrats were putting out, is that we were peddling Russian disinformation. And now we know it's the Democrats and the media that was backing them up were the ones peddling the Russian disinformation.
And could you imagine, Senator Johnson, if the last name of Hunter happened to be Trump? In your report, as you have gone forward, and what you said earlier this week, is that you discovered, you and Senator Grassley, that money from the CEFC, which is effectively an arm of the Chinese government, went directly to Hunter Biden. Now, there's a shopping spree involved. There's $5 million involved. $1.5 billion deal with the Bank of China. I'm not sure why they wouldn't go to Goldman Sachs or Deutsche Bank or J.P. Morgan Chase and a real company, because I don't see any experience he had. But these have ties directly to the Communist Chinese government, does it not? And military?
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, Xi Jinping, the chairman of CEFC, he just went missing. CEFC, it's a multi-billion-dollar oil and gas company, just kind of goes poof. That doesn't happen with a legitimate company. That's a company that's controlled by the Communist Chinese Party. And let's face it, just $5 million, $1 million, $3.5 million, $4 million from Burisma. We're up already over $13 million. For what? What qualified Hunter Biden from getting all that money for Biden Inc.? His name. He was influence peddling. This is the sleaziest thing that I've seen, certainly in politics. And, I want to really thank Senator Grassley for his tenaciousness in helping me investigate this. We've been a pretty good team. By the way, Sean, we both have tough re-elections. We're going to need a lot of help from your audience. I'm Ron Johns for Senate.com. Chuck is GrassleyWorks.com, and he does work hard.
All right,
if you want to get all this stuff exposed, we need some help.
Senator Grassley, this is the main question. Joe Biden lied when he said he had no knowledge of his son's foreign business dealings. Now we know that's a lie. Now the question is, as it relates to Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and China, is it possible we have a president of the United States that is compromised, that they have personal information, potentially blackmail information about Hunter Biden, former crack addict, a guy that frequented prostitutes, and that might compromise his ability to deal with these countries? Is that a fair question, Senator?
It is a fair question, and at this point, it's a question with me, but every American ought to keep it in the back of his mind, as particularly as our government is dealing with the Chinese government, our #1 competitor in the world and a #2 economy in the world. And I think it's legitimate to raise that question. I wish I could say absolutely yes, but for somebody to say that over the years, that 8 years of being vice president and also then being out of office but still having the Biden name and the prestige of that you never talk this with your family. That's just like my son and I are in farming. We talk about farming all the time.
Exactly. Same question, Senator Johnson. Now, we learned that Libya had a dossier, and they knew all about Hunter Biden's issues. Let's put it, I'm being kind. Isn't it likely the communist Chinese and the Russians and the Ukrainians and all these other countries have a dossier of dirt on Joe Hunter Biden and the rest of the family syndicate? Because I would say that puts them in a position of potential blackmail. Is that right?
Yeah, Sean, we may not know all the details, but I tell you who does. Russian intelligence, Chinese intelligence, Iranian intelligence, North Korean intelligence. My guess there are elements within our intelligence department, our intelligence community that know as well. They're just not going to tell us. They're not going to tell the American public because there's corruption in the deep state. Chuck and I, we asked for information from Gina Haspel. She wouldn't even return our phone call to tell us why she wouldn't respond to our legitimate oversight request. So it's a very deep state. It's pervasive. It's filled with liberal leftists, and that's one of our big problems in this country today.
Well, if that's true, then that means we have, as a country, potentially a compromised president, potentially his family subject to blackmail of some kind, or they have some leverage that they hold over them. Senator Johnson, Senator Grassley, thank you both for being courageous and supporting both of you in your campaigns. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.